Welcome, traders, to another episode of Trading Talk, where we talk all things trading. My name is Thomas Carver, and you may know me as Coach Carver. And guys, my goal with this is to be able to deliver you a new perspective on the financial markets every single week, where we interview the best traders, the best educators, and we take everything they know and we deliver it to you in this beautiful episode. So go ahead, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video. Let us know below what was your favorite part of this entire episode. And let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. Today, I have an absolute honor to be able to interview by far one of my favorite traders and educators in this entire space, somebody who motivated me to become a better trader and has given me a lot of knowledge along the way, and is Alyse Amores. Guys, she is an absolute savage in her own rights. Not only is she a single mother, going through the everyday hustle of raising a child, but she's also in here dominating this industry within this trading space and teaching people all around the world how to trade within the financial markets, guys. I just want to say she's trained over tens of thousands of people worldwide how to trade Forex, how to trade stocks, how to trade crypto. She's a complete beast. And I know this episode is going to be absolutely amazing. Alyse, it is an honor to have you here on the show with us. How you doing today, sis?
I am so blessed. I love it here. And I'm so thankful for the time opportunity that you're giving me today. So thank you for that. You're over here making me blush. My goodness.
Hey, it's an honor to have you on here, sis. Honestly, you're a savage, and I respect you a lot.
Appreciate it.
You've inspired me a lot. I don't even know. Do you remember back in Atlanta? I think it was the first time we actually met up in person. We were sitting there, we were hanging out with the whole crew. Everybody's doing their own thing, having these different conversations. And I remember you and we were sitting there in our phones, in the charts, looking for opportunities.
Yep.
This is when I was first looking into institutional trading, trying to switch from that, traditional support and resistance to understanding, order flow, liquidity, everything. I was really digging into it, and I'd asked you, and I was like, so what's our next trade? And you're like, all right, I got you. One sec. You pulled up Bitcoin and you're like, all right, I want you to go ahead, put a sell limit right here. This is your stop loss. This is your TP. Just let it ride. And I'm like, all right, I set that sell limit. And I remember I woke up, I made like $500. I was like, yo, Alyse is a savage. I was like, this is insane. So obviously, you didn't just become a successful trader overnight. So let's start from the beginning. How did you find yourself getting started trading, and what does that journey look like for you?
Yeah. So it was something, to be honest, I've always been interested in trading and mathematics and numbers. I've been good at math, and not saying that you have to be good at math to do this, by the way. But I've always been interested in finance, but I felt as though you probably had to go through school, all the way, 4 years of the finance degree and all the in-world experience and everything like that. So I probably strayed away from it. If I'm being honest, I went to school and left 3 times. Not because I couldn't do well, but just because I feel like people with certain mindsets get, I don't want to say bored at school, but we like to be challenged, we like to grow. And if it's too much of staying between these lines, it can get a little bit frustrating for those of us who think outside the box. So yeah, I wasn't really looking to do it through school like that. So something that I probably pushed myself away from. Plus the way the industry is, I don't know. I loved cooking and culinary. That's what I ended up doing initially, which is still a passion of mine. But I do feel like what I'm doing now is more my purpose. Nonetheless, I was in that industry first. So I was doing hospitality. First I did front of house, first I did back of house. Then I did front of house, meaning that I was chef, pastry chef and whatnot. And then I did management, etc. I was good at it and I did well with it. So that wasn't the problem, but there was no quality of life for me. I was working just to work. It felt like it's just forever. I was jealous of people who were having, everybody complains about the 9 to 5. I was like, man, I wish I was scheduled 13-hour shifts, working anywhere from 15, 16 hours a day. So eventually there's just no quality of life. And it's bad when people are literally coming to your job to see you oh, you're the manager here. I wanted to see you. You're always working. And it's okay, something's got to give. So I just was tired of the same old repeated cycle, and I wanted something different for myself and better for myself. So I wanted to look into what the wealthy were doing. And the 2 main things that I saw consistently was real estate and investing and trading, which also real estate is something that I want to get into later now that I have the funds to be able to really invest my own money. So Yeah, I ended up doing more research on it. And it's interesting, right? Because I feel like sometimes when you put something out into the universe, it finds its way to you, right? So I already knew that I was looking for it and I was looking to know how to trade, what to do. So a friend of mine had just started learning foreign exchange. They reached out to me and they're like, yo, let's do this together. Let's learn. And I was like, that's it. So when I saw about Forex and trading and the foreign exchange market, which is what Forex is short for, I was just like dumbfounded. I was just like, oh, this is so exciting. So for me, I feel like in the beginning, it was really just about seeing the possibilities. Because I know people get frustrated early on when they see, like, oh, I'm only making a few dollars here and there. But to me, when I made $10 out of like a little bit of money, I'm like, if I can make 10, I can make 100, I can make 1,000. And literally, that's the progression of how it goes, anyways, is from making 100 to 10,000 to 100,000 to a million, right? So to me, once I saw the possibility, like it was over with. But I started the way most people do, typically in an MLM business. There are some out there that give amazing quality information. So I was able to have that as a beautiful intro, but I did continue with additional mentorship. I've always seeked knowledge. To this day, I continue to learn in the market, and that's how it progressed. And then I've learned I surround myself by all different types of people and traders. I feel like you can always learn a little something from somebody. If I were to name the list of everybody I've learned from, it'd probably be like 30 people. Even if it's only like that one thing, I thank them for that little bit of knowledge.
I get that. Honestly, I really do. It's the same way with me. Like it wasn't like one, specific person. Like I've gotten, little bits from you, I've gotten little bits from like people here and there. And it's like, a certain person says something a certain way and it clicks for you. Right. And that's why like I'm really excited about this channel, because I know that I can bring on a bunch of different, people, and, you may resonate with somebody and, somebody else may resonate with someone else. And, that's where it's really powerful, because, this trading talk series, we get to interview, the most amazing people and talk about the experience. So that's awesome. I started the same way you did, coming in, friend reached out to me, said, hey, started learning how to trade. I'm like, what the heck is trading? So I'm right there with you. I followed, a lot along the lines, a lot of the same steps. And I think, that's how a lot of people do get into this industry. So now that you've gotten in, you've gone through, your trials, your tribulations, you're a wildly successful trader. You trade, big amounts of money. What would be like 3 of your biggest tips that you can give to maybe somebody who's just getting started? Maybe they're wanting to become profitable. They have that mindset of, hey, I want to be a successful trader. Maybe even that person that's listening that's like, hey, I've been trading for a while, I just keep getting beat up in the markets, stuff isn't just, work for me. I'm not necessarily consistent. And I want to, I want to get there. What would be your 3 tips for them on, becoming a successful trader?
Yeah, I love this because I think we all could have used some solid advice in the beginning. So my first point, I would definitely say be realistic while also aiming high. I know that sounds contradictory, but I'll be very specific. Okay. I mean that you're not going to be a millionaire overnight, but what I mean by also aiming high is that, yes, that is a possibility as you continue to grow your account. So by being consistent and having progress, compounding your account, you're going to be able to reach those goals that you want. You'd be surprised how quickly those little profits will add up and really can change your life. I've honestly seen a lot of people, they'll make the little Excel sheet that has like, do these lots by this growth. Numbers don't lie. They're going to tell you, right? If you sit down and do those sheets, you see the possibilities of literally changing your life, sometimes from 3 months to a year to 2 years and things like that, if you continue to compound. And even with taking withdrawals, you should be able to do such, because as long as you're doubling or tripling your account, you should be able to still take out money and grow your account. For example, I used to do, because a lot of people ask, okay, well, if you were living off the income, then how are you able to continue to grow your account? So typically what I'll do is after I triple it, I'll take out a third of it. So it's always doubling, but I'm also able to take money out. So that's typically what I'll do. So when it comes to compounding your account and reaching your goals, I think entrepreneurs understand this concept very well. Basically, if you have a product, you have to sell X amount of this product this many times to be able to make this amount of money. It's the same thing with trading. And that's what I was referencing with that spreadsheet, right? I have to make this much percentage of profit, this many amount of days to equal this target. So that's what I mean by being realistic, is planning it, and then also aim high where your goals are, right? You can make however, whatever you desire in this market. That's the beauty of trading, is that it's not a regular job. There's not a cap. It is uncapped. You make the amount that you put the work in, and the market will reward you for that. Okay, for my second point, I believe that a trading plan is not optional, but necessary.
Yes.
I know when I started trading, I thought it was overrated. Very cocky, right? Hello. You gotta, I feel like in the beginning, you think that, oh, I just take the trades, they'll just be profitable. There you go. But that's not very realistic. Preparation is just as important as execution. I feel like there's a saying, it says Abraham Lincoln. I'm not sure if it's true, but it's that. But the saying is like, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 4 hours prepping my axe, right? So preparation for the execution of the process is very important. You want it to be where you feel like what you're doing is second nature to you. So just like, Usain Bolt trains for 4 years between every single Olympics for a few second sprints, as a trader, you have to train and prepare yourself for trades you take every single day. The trade I took today that I made thousands on in a few minutes was something that I've practiced on my chart hundreds of times until it became like second nature to me. So basically, with your trading plan, you've already fine-tuned things that work, and you're devising your trading plan based off what works and tried and true consistent things, as opposed to I'm guessing and hoping that this trade works out. For my third point, I always say allow yourself to be a beginner. I feel like this actually kind of reinforces my first point where I talked about be realistic while also aiming high. But at the first part, if you're not being realistic, it also kind of adds to this. You're not allowing yourself to be a beginner, and okay, well, I'm not rich yet, so that's the reason why I quit, right? So I see that too, unfortunately, where people are exposed to this and then they feel like, oh, I'm not profitable yet because they were being unrealistic, and they end up quitting. So you have to allow yourself to be a beginner. You realize that this is something that's completely new to you, and everything that you do now is something that you didn't previously know before. So you have to allow yourself the kindness and patience to be able to learn something. I always tell everybody that learning trading is like learning a new language. You're learning to read the charts. So you have to give yourself the time to see it, do it over again, and practice it.
I didn't realize I was going to have to charge people for this episode. You're dropping too much alpha. Listen, that's some good points. I really like that. Setting realistic goals. That is so huge and crucial, really, in anything you do in life, not even just trading, just in life. That's some good advice. Like, I think the problem with this entire industry, Forex, crypto, stocks, NFTs, everything, the problem with the realistic expectations is I think it's the way people are being shown it. You see all these flashy, people on Instagram, showing their mansions, showing their cars, this, that, trading this, trading that. That's what they start to see. That's what they start to imagine. They think it just happens overnight, but it doesn't. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the work. You have to, train your mindset and you train your eyes to the chart and look at these different setups, look at these different scenarios. If you learn something from somebody, go back and back test it, study it, make sure you understand it. Look for that trade 100 times, 1,000 times. And then that's going to be ingrained in your brain. I mean, so many people jump on these live sessions and they hear people like you say, I'm taking this trade because I've seen this set up 100 times. I've seen this set up 1,000 times. And then they execute it and it goes through flawlessly. And people are like, wow, I need to trade for 10 years. I need to trade for 8 years so I can get there. And that's not necessarily true, because you can go through on TradingView and you can back test decades of data at any given moment. You can train your eye to it. And that's how I got to the point to where I became a consistently profitable trader, where I was able to dive into the charts and I was able to train my mindset to what's going to happen, use that replay mode and go through and figure out the order flow, figure out where the liquidity is, figure out, where are my order blocks? Where was the expansion? Where is the manipulation within the markets, understanding the cycle. And that's where that comes from time, putting it into the chart and having a compounding calculator or having a compounding, sheet, or even just a rules-based trading plan. Yes, that is absolutely crucial. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think everybody should have it, because at the end of the day, one of the most, one of the quotes that stuck with me, throughout life is, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Right. So without having that trading plan, you're just essentially gambling. What are you just throwing money in the markets and saying, hey, maybe this one will hit? Like, that's not a way to trade. So I agree with you. Those are some amazing points, Alyse. Absolutely powerful stuff. So I know you traded funded accounts, right? I know you've done some trading for other people. I know you've done very well. Now you have some pretty big, funded accounts, not to throw it out there or anything, throw your business out there, but I mean, you're a successful
Right.
trader. The industry knows who you are as a whole. I'm wondering, for the people that are wanting to take their trading to the next level, they're wanting to maybe,
Mhm.
become a full-time trader. Maybe they want to, be able to, have a prop fund, or have the ability to trade somebody else's money. What would be some of your tips for them? What would be some advice for somebody that's looking to, go in and trade some funded accounts?
Yeah, that's such a great question. My experience from trading with hedge funds and then also for proprietary trading, there's something very consistent there that I've seen. And practicing risk reward is something that is not optional. You want to protect your capital, whether you're doing it for, a business or for yourself, you want to protect your capital. So the way to do that pretty much is to make sure that you understand the risk that you're taking beforehand. So when I have someone come to me and tell me, I blown my account, there's only one of two ways you're going to pretty much do that. You're over leveraging or you're over leveraging, right? They say if you can't hold your position and it gives you anxiety that you're probably over leveraging. But my point being is that if you're practicing proper risk reward, which to break it down a little bit so that if you're a little bit newer to it, you're like, you keep saying that. What does it mean? Your risk reward is basically assuming what you're risking to what you're making. So maybe if someone's practicing a 1 to 10 risk reward, they may be risking $10 to make 100. Or if it's a larger account, you may be risking 100 to make 1,000. So if you practice similar risk rewards over and over again, for example, if I consistently take, let's do simple numbers. If I consistently take 1 to 5s, that means I'm risking $10 to make 50, something like that. If I were to win 4 trades at a 1 to 5 ratio, I would have to lose 20 times to knock out 5 wins, right? So the thing is I hope I did that math right. Make sure I go back and listen, but I think I did the math correctly. Even like, let's say you do a 1 to 10, right? And you win 10 trades, I would have to lose 100 times to knock out 10 wins, right? So the better risk reward, the easier it is going to be for you. But even with 1 to 2s, you still, if you're following that type of discipline, then your losses should not be knocking out your wins. The problem is a lot of times is people don't stick to their rules. I'm going back to the trading plan. They determine that risk, but then they don't hold it to that risk, right? So, oh, I know I said I was only going to risk that amount of dollars, but then I let it run and now half of my account is gone. Ooh, that's rough, right? So you have to be able to protect your capital and be very precise with it. So that is something I teach in regards to how you trade. Now, to be very specific to proprietary trading, I'm glad you added that because I do recommend people do that. That opportunity, even when I started 4.5 years ago, proprietary trading was not yet really big. There was only a few funds doing it. It was more so in the last 2 years that it became larger. So with proprietary trading, you're typically the rules vary slightly between brokerages and firms, but pretty much the general rule is about 5% daily drawdown, and then like 10% overall is kind of the general gauge. So what I recommend for myself, what I use personally, but also recommend for my students, is to use less of the risk they give you. If a violation is that amount, then why would you try to get so close to that number? You're making it harder on yourself. Additionally, you have to make up whatever you lose, right? So if I lose 4%, I have to make up 4% the next day. So you're making it longer for you to pass these verifications and to be into profit. So even though they allow 5%, I typically only use 1%. Max would be like 2. So the thing is I'm never even getting close to the violations because I'm not even trying to test that type of numbers that they're giving us. And so with that type of discipline, that forces you to make a better trading plan and to practice better risk reward.
That's amazing. I love it. That's some really good advice. So, like kind of breaking that down a little bit, like risk management is crucial in this space. Like if you don't know how much you're risking on a trade, again, that goes back to like the gambling. Like I just feel like if you aren't following a rules-based trading plan, if you don't have a set, checklist to follow, essentially, you're like you're just going in blind, so being able to calculate that risk is huge, like that's a big part. And I like that you touch on that. I think, somebody that's wanting to, do some proprietary trading, or they're wanting to trade some of these funded accounts, maybe they should even just go and look at like what those numbers are and practice that way. Like currently on demo, like the way they're paper trading, the way that they're back testing, they should be following those same rules-based trading. And I think that's crucial, like you're saying, like 1 to 5s, 1 to 10s, like those are phenomenal. Like that right there allows you to be like so net positive that it's insane. Like that, having a good risk to reward allows you to lose more times than you win and still be profitable and still be able to, go through and have, these different things. So like if you're able to have, 5% drawdown, 10% drawdown, and, your stop loss, it doesn't matter whether it's 5 pips, 10 pips, 20 pips, or even 100 pips, right? Like what matters is, I'm risking 1% of my account on this trade. So no matter how far in drawdown it goes, as long as it doesn't hit that stop loss, like I'm good. The most I'm going to be down is 1% of my account, or maybe 2% of my account. What blows my mind is these people that go out there and they're putting 10%, 20%, 30% on it. I'm like, why are you so all in on this trade? So, that's huge. Like being able to calculate the risk and stuff, like that's good. Like I respect that.
I will say that as you become more experienced, sometimes I do see people take more risk with experience. But again, even when people take more risk with that experience, they understand and accept that risk. So I do think there's levels to this. And well, it's interesting, right? Because as more skilled you become, the less risk you need to use or have to use. But maybe you can use more risk. But again, I think when you come to a certain level, you always understand the risk you're taking. And that's one of the main points. And if you are taking higher risk, that is something that should only be for your personal account. Unfortunately, you typically can't do that for investors, for funds,
They'll cut you
like
off.
hedge funds, or proprietary trading. But maybe for your personal account, if you do have a trade that I feel like I'm going to be a millionaire, whatever, then, you can risk that higher amount. But as long as you understand it, then that's the way it should be. You're always taking responsibility in your trading. So, you understand the risk when you take the bet. Let's just put it that way.
I get the personal part. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There's been a few times where I'm like, this trade looks good, and I'll throw like a couple $100 in like a 1 to 500 leverage trading account, and I'm like, let's go. Like,
yeah, you
it's like
understood the risk
you
and
accept
you
the
took
risk.
the chance.
It's like, oh no, worst case scenario, I lose $200 or I lose $300. But it's like, if this thing plays out with this risk to reward, like, might be pretty good,
Yeah.
but no, like that's every now and then, that's like one of those like guilty, like pleasures, like so I know I'm probably going to get cursed out if I don't ask this next one. I know, like, I already know, like, people are thinking like, single mom trading, how in the heck are you making it work? What does your day look like? What is your trading routine, from the getting up to going to bed? Like, how are you managing being a single mother? How are you managing being a successful entrepreneur? How are you managing being an educator and a trader all at the same time? What does that look like? Like, you're superwoman
so
or what?
When you mention it, it sounds as overwhelming as it is. Number one is stay organized. You have to be organized. It's the only way to do it. Now it's a little bit easier. My daughter is 5 now, so she's in school. So it's like, she's after the bus. It's time to trade. But obviously for the first 4 years of that, because I didn't start trading until I had my daughter. So I had her when I was 29 or 30. And well, there you go. Now you got like my age. But she was a newborn when I was learning. So clearly, and I was doing it by myself, right? So I had to be organized. And keep in mind, at the time, I was doing school full time, I was doing work full time, and I was doing like Lyft and Uber on the side, right? Because you have like a second job to pay for childcare for your first job. So as you can imagine, my schedule was extremely limited. So in the beginning, it was just like, look, take an hour of time, schedule it, right? I scheduled it. I didn't make it optional. I made it a priority. Anything that matters to you, you make a priority and you schedule it. So pretty much my main routine was right after she's in bed, I'm setting that first hour. But I also made sure that that time that I was spending was focused and not distracted. So that's the other reason why I planned it, is that I did it at a time when I knew that I could focus into the material. So I made sure that period of time, even if it was a short period of time, was very focused and very task and goal oriented, right? I was very specific with it. So I just took the time to organize everything. And then even now I keep it to what my routine is. So I always mentality is very important in this game, right? So I add things that helps my trading, like reading trading material, understanding myself and my psychology, and like I do affirmations and I do uh, morning meditations that helps me focus. I visualize my trades, I visualize winning, just all types of stuff like that. Even on my screen, I used to type little affirmations on the left side of my screen. I would basically say something like, trades winning comes easily to me. My trades flow to take profit at ease. Things like that. I never put anything out there with rejection or like saying like this, like people make the mistake of saying this is hard. Da, da, da. They say this over and over again. So I would say this is easy. Trading comes easily to me. So I made sure to make a point of saying that even if I was still learning and even though I felt as though it may have been seeming like it was hard for me at the time, I made sure that it felt like this is easy, I can do this. But digressing and moving on, when it comes to my trading plan every single day, I make sure that I practice my trading plan. So I make sure that I'm set up, my chart is set up the way I need. And if I need to be playing something in the background, like trading affirmations and whatnot, that all my stuff is set up. And also, as Ava was a toddler and as she grew up, I told her, like, this is mommy's trading time. So, when mom's done trading, she'll be able to be with you. So she knows the routine by now. So she knows when I'm trading that it's time for mom to trade. So hopefully that covers everything.
That's amazing. How does it feel to know that they like base the entire movie like Superwoman after you? You're no, that's cool. Like being organized, like being able to, have that time, like that's cool. And like she sees you in the chart, she sees you, grinding, and I know that she's sitting there, with curious little mind, like, what is this? What are these candlesticks? And it's cool. Like it's gonna be nice, maybe here soon we'll be having her on one of these episodes talk
In
about
time.
talk about her journey, right? But no, that's crucial. That's huge. Being able to stay organized, being able to have that routine. That's good. They say it's not what you do that makes you successful, it's what you do daily, and you have that daily routine. You have that time to yourself, you have that time with your daughter, you have that time in the charts, you have that time with your mentees. So that's cool. I really do respect that. And when I first brought it up to the group that I was going to be doing this interview with you, a lot of people got excited. I asked them if there was any questions that they wanted to ask, and Ali had a good one. Being a single mom, being able to go through trading, and like there's a lot of stress to it, right? Like getting stopped out, the lessons, oh, I really thought this trade was, I thought it was going to go up. I thought it was going to have my take profit. I got stopped out. Was there ever a moment where you're just like, man, like I feel like quitting? Ali had brought up this question, like, have you ever thought about quitting? That's a big thing. We see people come in and out of this industry all the time. We talked about earlier, expectations is a big one. We see, just a revolving
Right.
door of people coming in. Was there ever a time where you just like, hey, like I don't feel like doing this anymore?
For me personally, no. But keep in mind that I was borderline obsessed and I knew that this was my way out of my routine of what I was doing before. But with that said, that doesn't mean I didn't face times of adversity and challenges because man, did I ever. I've dealt with issues with brokers, I've dealt with issues with uh just really everything. If I even went through it all, you probably wouldn't even believe, right? So I've faced so much adversity with this. So it's not that I don't understand that the thought doesn't cross the mind of like, oh, it'd just be easier to do something different. But I've never really seek to do what's easy. I seek to do what to me feels right. And also, I'm okay with adversity, to be honest. My whole life has been challenging. So, if anything, I just see that I have to master this certain aspect of what is challenging me to get to the next level. I always look at it as like a video game. Yay, I passed this part. Now I have to do this part. So, I've just seen it simply as that way. And it's helped me. All those things, even though at the time it seems overwhelming and at the time it seems like a lot, they've built me into the trader that I am now. And had I not faced that adversity, I may not know how to handle it the next time it happens. So although I have had issues with brokers and having to leave and transfer money over and everything like that, I still now, like if that were to happen again, I know how to handle it appropriately. So as long as you take those lessons, then I think it's a beautiful thing. And sort of as I mentioned before, to me, it was always about the progress and the possibilities. Like, to me, once I saw the possibilities that there was going to be for me in this industry, and also for me personally to grow, I was like, yeah, I could never give this up. It's just something like this is kind of a joke I make the traders, like when they go on vacation and when they do stuff like that, the goal is like, hey, let's see if I can trade up what I spent to go on this trip. And so like when I'm on this trip, I don't actually spend any, like I'm not down any money. So, being able to do that is amazing. And you kind of have to remind yourself of your why, but also like reward yourself in the process. So, yeah, I spent so much time studying and evolving as a person, but I also spend time to reward myself for reaching those goals. I spend time enjoying the rewards of all the work I've been doing, right? So, if your goals were to do this for these reasons, make sure that you're actually doing these things with your profits, right? My joke with my students is like pay the trader, right? You've seen that probably hashtag before, pay the trader, right? So we make that joke when a trade is running. Oh, you're gonna hit TP, pay the trader. So like take that money and use it as a tool. Money is a tool. You can do so much with it. And so I look at it more than just simply as like, oh, this is hard. Well, why did you want to do this? Why did you get into this? And remind yourself, like, that's why I'm here. This is what I'm doing.
So that is very crucial. When you're talking about your why, one of my favorite quotes is the two most important times in your life are when you're born and when you figure out why. So when you have that why, you do have to hold on to it, right? They say if your why isn't strong enough, the how is irrelevant because you're not going to be around long enough to see it through anyways. So I like that. You brought up some good points, being able to have that strong why, being able to remind yourself of that why. Why am I doing this? Why am I here in this moment? Why am I trading? Why do I want to be successful? Why do I want to be consistently profitable? What does that look like to you? Right. So being able to have that, I believe you should write that down every day. I have it on my whiteboard, like I think you should be able to see it, write it in your mirrors, have it on post-it notes, whatever you need to be able to see that, having those affirmations, having that stuff to help you through along the way. I'm there with you. I love it. Having the ability to reward yourself, pay the trader, that is crucial, right? Being able to reward yourself, have milestones that you want to go for, right? Not write out your short, your mid, your long-term goals. That's huge. And, for all my Parks and Recs fans, treat yourself, right? So,
Love it.
that's huge. So, I love it. Right. I love it. And, that's really big. And I'm excited that you're able to, be able to contribute that here. He also asked me, Ali had asked me to go ahead and ask you who you like more, me or him. I'm not even going to have you go ahead and respond to that because we both have to answer. You love us both equally.
That's like asking if I love chocolate or cake. I mean, can I not have chocolate cake? Y'all are amazing separately and amazing together. So I love both of y'all so much, and I'm so grateful that I met both of you.
We're blessed to have you in our lives. Honestly, that's you've been a big influence, to a lot of people, myself included, like I've said. And, I know you're a big influence to a lot of women in this space, right? I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. Like trading in general is a predominantly like male dominant industry. How has it been for you as a woman in this space? Really rising up through the ranks and, getting these educator positions, getting these, like big prop firms to, want to have you trade for them. What does that look like for you?
Right. So sometimes it can be challenging. I'm going to be honest in that. Sometimes it can be challenging, but I don't let that overwhelm me. There's constant times where when I'm in a trading group or meeting or anything to that extent, I'm the only female there. So, I feel like I have to represent for everybody. But at the same time, I really am just another trader in a room of other traders. So I don't allow it to make me feel advantaged or disadvantaged in any type of way. With that said, yeah, I've definitely, some of the adversity I have faced in this industry, maybe is someone doubting me, or maybe kind of like the old school men in this profession maybe feel as though that it's not for women. But I don't really care if someone underestimates me, because that's not a disadvantage to me. That's actually a disadvantage to them, right? Because then I'm able to really kind of surprise, I'm here. But also, regardless of who you are in this industry, numbers never lie. My stats perform very well and they represent the trader that I am. So regardless of what sex I happen to be, I'm here to stay. My stats are very good. And I probably have had some people that didn't even like me that would want to work with me because it would be beneficial to you, right? So that's what I love about this industry is that anybody can do it. It's tricky because anybody can do it, although it's not for everybody. And the only reason why I say that is because you have to be a certain level, you have to reach certain levels of discipline to be able to do well with this. And so whenever someone doesn't do well in trading, it doesn't have to do with the skill set necessarily, because you don't have to be smart to do this. You have to be disciplined and meticulous, right? Because there's many smart people that haven't been able to do well with trading because they haven't mastered themselves. So that's something that's a whole nother topic. But when it comes to being a woman in this industry, we're actually very good at it. That's the other thing. Some of the best traders that I know are definitely females. We are very good at like applying our lessons. We're good with risk management, and we're organized and disciplined. So those traits go very well with trading. So I try to encourage other women to trade, let them see my experience, so that way that they aren't so intimidated by it all, and to build their confidence, right? Like be confident. And I think that's something that everybody struggles and deals with when they're trading is being confident, but that comes with time. As you get better, you're able to build your confidence. So just start knowing that you can do it. And in time, as you get better, you will perform in this industry. And don't let other people say, you can't, I can't do this. Because regardless of your sex, people will tell you, I know you've experienced this. Oh, well, I don't know why you're doing this. Guy, you're still trading. Those are the same people later that will come back to you and, hey, is it too late for you to teach me? Oh, well, I was trying to learn with you when I wasn't charging anybody, but now I'm a teacher and now you got to pay. So, um, I don't say that to be petty, but I'm just saying like, I've literally seen it, people have watched me do this. And it's because usually other people will wait for others to do well before they jump into something. Like be able to bet on yourself. So that goes to women, but to everybody, like be able to bet on yourself. That's what is a game changer in this industry.
So much alpha being dropped right now. Sheesh. Let's go. Honestly, that's a lot to unpack right there. You just dropped a lot of nuggets in a very short amount of time. I mean, just in life in general, you're gonna have haters. You're gonna have people telling you what you can and can't do. You're gonna have it all the time. You should never compare yourself to somebody else. You should never, let somebody else's influence tell you what you can or cannot do. You have to have that discipline. I've always said, when you want to come into trading, people are like, what does it take? How much money do you need? What about this? What about that? And I've always said, really the only thing you need is the ability and the drive to, be willing to learn, willing to listen, willing to follow simple directions, willing to put in the time to back test these charts, and, just really be willing to follow your rules-based trading plan, going back to that, part one, like talking about that trading plan, being able to be consistent and disciplined to follow through and stick with that plan. So, that's huge. And, like you said, like, doesn't matter whether you're a man, you're a woman, or you're an alien, whatever, you can be whatever you want in this space. Just have the discipline to, really stick with this, and don't let, somebody else's opinion of you or whatever you're doing, change how you go about your life, like just in general. So that's huge. I really respect that. You're a huge, icon within the space. Now, as a professional trader and as an educator, I believe you should always still be learning. How are you staying up to date and staying relevant with everything going on? How are you, going through and still studying to continue to master this craft and continue to scale it? Like you said, there's levels to this game. How are you still climbing these levels at this point?
That's such a good question. I am constantly seeking mentorship and just knowledge in general. So a lot of it obviously is my own self-learning application, but I always seek mentorship. And the beauty of it being that there are levels to this is that there's levels of mentorship. And so regardless of whatever level you are at, you definitely should seek someone who is at a higher level than you, because they're giving you like the cheat codes, right? We talked about video games earlier. Now you have the cheat codes. And it's not that it eliminates the learning curve, because the learning curve will still be there, but it decreases the learning curve. That's the beauty of it, because you have your own personal experiences that you add to trading, but then you have experience from people who've already done it that's adding to that. And that's where, your personal part gives you the edge, but their personal experience just really adds to that. So every single level that I have progressed in this industry requires a different level of mentorship. So for example, now that I'm trading seven-figure accounts and multi seven-figure accounts, maybe the mentorship group that I can learn from may be smaller, but it's still there. So, this year in 2022, I have a person specifically that I'll be learning from. And that's someone who personally has traded, for hedge funds. I'm talking about multi-million dollar, billion-dollar accounts, right? So yes, that is a smaller niche or people, but that experience is still out there. So every single level I've been able to learn from different people, and it's helped decrease my learning curve. A lot of times I do get that question, oh, well, you've been able to progress so quickly. How have you been able to do that? Because I took the lessons that other people have taught to me. And the reason why it also decreases your learning curve is because you don't have to make all those mistakes. It's up to you if you want to make it, or if you can just simply learn from someone telling you it and then apply that lesson. Even when it comes to your own personal lessons, right? It's your decision if you learn from it after losing from it twice or 100 times. So when people ask me about that period of time, well, I simply learned from this like twice and it became a part of my trading plan. And so actually, this is kind of funny. I know this kind of strays away from the question a little bit, but whenever I take on a new student in the first class, I always ask them like what they think they're doing well and what they can get better at. And most of the time, people know what they're not doing well and they need to get better at. So my next question is typically, so when are you going to fix that, right? So, because sometimes they know and they don't have the knowledge to fix it, and that's where I come in, right? But sometimes it is something they know when they're not correcting. For example, we already talked about over leveraging. Oh, my blow counts are over leverage. Okay, cool. So when are you gonna stop doing that? Like, I can give you information. That's probably something that can be frustrating for mentors. I can give you the information, but you have to apply the lessons, right? So um, that's something that I do think also adds to mentorship, is like being a good student, right? So there's one side of like seeking good mentors, but my responsibility is to be a good student, being able to be receptive, being able to take correction, being able to simply apply is something that is a game changer. So don't take all these mentorships and waste your time by not applying and also not taking seriously the information that's being provided to you.
That's so big, honestly. Talking about like applying it, right? Everybody always says knowledge is power, knowledge is power, knowledge is power. But I've always said applied knowledge is power, and you just hit on that very well. That is absolutely crucial. And you should always be learning. Look for that person who is doing what you want to do, and just ask them, reach out. I mean, so many people, don't even realize that, like, there's mentors there. There's people there, where you can go through and just continue to grow. There's academies put together that'll walk you through some of the most basic stuff, the daunting learning of what is a pip, what is a lot size, stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there that'll walk you through that basic, that intermediate, that advanced. I know you trade institutional, I know you teach institutional. That's where, like, that's my level, that's where I'm at. I'm currently looking at mastering that institutional trading. People swear by it, talking about like retail versus institutional, smart money. Do you think there's only one way to trade, or to be profitable? What would be your advice there, as for the people looking at that institutional level? What would you have for them?
Yes, so many good questions. So, I will say there's many ways to trade. There's many ways to be profitable. That's without a doubt. If you're following good risk reward, even with a low win rate, you should be able to be profitable. But imagine having a high win rate and practicing good risk, right? So I will say that there's many ways to be profitable. If you have a good trading plan and if you are practicing good risk, then yes, you can be profitable. But as I stated before, there's definitely levels to this. So I will say that institutional trading does give you an edge because it helps you understand the market, right? So a lot of people, when they're looking to learn trading, they're looking at a strategy. So I want to learn this strategy. Okay, but do you understand the market? The thing is that people who understand the market create strategies. So honestly, if you did this part, you could really create your own strategy, to be honest. But nonetheless, like, as long as you understand what creates the market, the how and why, then the what just kind of presents itself, like how do I do this and what strategy is able to be used. So I feel like as long as you understand liquidity, then you'll be on the right side of the market.
I agree with you, honestly. Like when it comes to, understanding the markets, understanding where price is moving to, you have to have that order flow, understand where the liquidity is, understand where, institutional investors are driving price. And I know you can break liquidity down really well. So, for those people that are just listening in, maybe somebody doesn't understand what is liquidity, what does it mean? Can you go ahead and break that down for them?
Yeah, I know. I keep I keep using trade lingo. That's a great question. So liquidity is in essence what drives the market. There's constantly a volume of orders that are being redistributed throughout the market. The way that I typically describe this when I'm teaching is through poker. Have you ever played Texas Hold'em before?
Oh yeah, I got 4 aces tattooed right here on my arm.
There you go. Perfect. So, because I always tell people the volume is the same in the market, but it's constantly being redistributed, and that's what they're doing. So, like, okay, what do you mean? So, when you play poker, everybody starts with the same amount of chips, and as you go along through the game, people who win take over the money of the ones that lose, and now they have more betting power. But throughout the game, it's always the same amount of chips. The only difference is where it's being redistributed. And in essence, liquidity is like the volume of orders, and typically institutions will need to take over other people's liquidity. So, like, I find it funny when I hear about institutional trading when people teach it different ways. Not everybody understands it in full, and that's okay. That's why I'm trying to really clarify when I teach, like, really the good in and outs. But they make it sound like nothing against market maker method, but I feel like a lot of times they explain the liquidity a little bit, but they don't explain enough into the detail of why, and they make it sound like, oh, they just hate us and they want to take us off the market. Okay, okay, it's not
They're
that
out to
simple.
get me.
They're
They
out
saw
to
I
get us,
clicked to buy, so now they're selling. What I've
right?
had
It's like,
people
okay,
message me.
let's explain this away so that it makes more sense, and it really is just a simple logical explanation. So, and it's like outside of the market. Think outside of the market, right? If I need to sell my house, I can list it, but that exchange does not happen until I have a buyer to buy my selling property. Okay. So it's the exact same thing in the market. If institutions, because they have the most volume in the market, if they need to sell like 100,000 orders, they need to create 100,000 buyers on the opposite side of their trade for the trade to interact, to exchange, so that the trade can be placed or happen. Like when it comes to liquidity for regular traders like you and I, we don't even have the volume. We don't even have to think about that because it's provided by default with the liquidity that they provide. But since they have a majority of the volume of the orders in the market, they have to create opposite of that for their trades to execute. So pretty much that's where liquidity comes in. They're providing the liquidity by providing the orders opposite side of the market, and they're taking out those orders and redistributing them in line with their orders. So one of my favorite sayings, and this was not made up by me, this is actually one of my students, but he basically says, if you can't see the liquidity in the market, then you are the liquidity. So that helps you kind of remember, like, if I can't see where they're getting in on the market, then I'm being taken out of this market.
Man, that's absolutely right. Honestly, I love it. And you break it down so well. When I've always looked at liquidity, the way I see it is, yes, most institutional traders are getting in when retail traders are getting stopped out. And that's because they do need that liquidity. But, it's not like a witch hunt. I've had people literally message me like, Thomas, what is going on? Every time I click buy, it's like they know somebody's watching me, and like it goes down, like it sells, or when I sell, somebody buys, I don't get it, and like people have
Because they're
messaged me
putting you
this stuff.
there.
And it's funny because it's like you have to look at like a more or less like a macro perspective, like understand like macro market and micro market structure, but being able to see like when prices ranging traditionally, you have retail investors buying at support and selling at resistance. So what are they doing? They're told, put your stop loss 15, 20 pips, below or above, the recent low or whatever, and like retail, like, or, institutional investors, they see that, they understand that, like you said, you and I, like, we have no problem. We can go on our personal accounts. We can, go to whatever lot size our account can afford. We can click buy, we can click sell, and it'll go through instantly, right? These institutional traders, they can't do that. They don't have the liquidity to do that. So what do? They look for pools of liquidity within the markets. Where are, majority of these stop losses at? And by coming down there and collecting that liquidity, all those stop losses getting hit allows them to place a larger order, so we see,
Yep.
they say success leaves clues, and we can see that, that we can see, where the supply is, where the demand is. And traditionally you're going to have, that liquidity get swept. And then what's going to happen? The market's going to go back up or it's going to go back down. Like it's going to come into that area. So that is absolutely huge. And I'm glad that you brought that up.
Well, you brought it up. I just answered.
Yeah, you brought a
But
good
I'm
answer.
so glad that we went into it, because I feel like that is something that stumps a lot of people, definitely in the beginning, because that's where the frustration. Matter of fact, when most people do quit, it's because of what you just described. They're like, I just don't get it. It's like, but that's where, again, the mentorship comes in, right? So if someone had already explained to them what we just simply went over, they'd already understand, oh, so if I'm following in line with the masses and they're being placed in a certain area to be taken out of the market, then I should probably trade different from that. Even if you don't know yet how to do it, then figure out, like, well, what's ways that I can learn how to avoid this. So, I mean, we can praise mentorship forever, but I do like to do that because because not for myself, but generally speaking, I just think it's going to help you in this, since it's something that's completely new, and having that navigation in a new world is something that obviously is very helpful.
That's huge. Honestly, that is. And, what I do want to give you the floor. I've been kind of guiding the conversation, asking the questions, but I do want to, just kind of give you the floor for a moment and, just be able to talk to, the traders, like what's just like some advice in general, like stuff that we haven't talked about. Like if there's something that you would like to bring up that I wasn't able to ask you at this point, what would that be? Just speaking from the heart, speaking from the mind, everything you've been through in your entire trading career. What's some more advice you want to give them?
I can probably think of a few things, but I know one thing that I will advocate to everybody is, like, have your chart time. You cannot replace chart time. Everybody that I know that is a successful trader has been on the charts more than anybody else, because the market will teach you, regardless of what you've been taught. The market will teach you who you are. I've always said that. So that's where the self-mastery comes in. Like, so let's say, for example, that I tell everybody, well, I'm patient. I'm a patient trader. The market will tell you if you are or not. Okay. It will tell you, no, you're not being paid from this trade because you got into early and now you're going to get taken out. So it's up to us ultimately to take the lesson and to spend the chart time to see what we're doing wrong and correct that. So the lessons are always there, but it's up to us to apply it and make sure that we're taking that time. So even if you are learning from somebody, you have to be able to learn to see what they're telling you. You have to see, like when I teach someone, like you need to see what I see for you to be able to do what I do. So you have to spend that time on the charts. You have to be able to look and see the repetition of things in the market. The market works in fractals. So it's just a bunch of patterns repeating itself over and over again continuously. So that's the way that's why we're able to study it and in essence predict, or try to see what's happening in the market. We're able to do that because of that reason. Another point, I'm so glad I just thought of this, but this just came out of the air to my head. This is such a big point. The rules that you make in the market are like on you and not on the market. What do I mean by that? So a lot of times when people are losing, this also kind of adds to taking responsibility too, by the way. So that's another point. Take responsibility. That's the only way to do well in this game. But for example, when people will lose a trade, oh, well, the market this, the market that. No, you place the trade. You are the one who made the decisions here. So regardless of what the market does, you have to take responsibility for that. And when you make rules in your trading plan, you don't put rules like the market needs to do this. No, you need to do this based off what the market's doing. So the rules that you give to the market should be around yourself. And I believe this so much that I don't even give when I speak about the market, I don't use definitive terms. I see that people will get into the trap of saying, well, the market has to do this and this will happen. I'm like, are you sure though? Because even as much as I know, and I trade very well. My win rate is consistently between 90 to 96%. So, I understand a lot of times clearly what the market is doing. But even with that said, ultimately the market's going to do what it wants to do. So even with, the structure of the algorithm, the market algorithm, which in essence is what I trade, there can always be random stuff. I say random because it's planned random, but I'll give you an example. Okay. So, there's news that's unpredicted. So clearly we have economic folders that will say stuff like of news that we're expecting and you can capitalize on it. But sometimes there'll be something random. Any type of natural event or disaster that's unplanned can make the market go absolutely nuts. Redix, like the first time it happened, was not planned. Well, that's, I don't want to get into the
It's
matrix
up for
stuff, but
debate.
you get where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
But to us, it was unbeknownst. Okay, we did not know. Control yourself in the market, right? Your stop loss should have been there. All this, that, and the other. You can't blame the market. Ultimately, everything done in the market is your responsibility, regardless of what it does. So there's power in taking responsibility, and so that applies to life, but it also applies especially in the market.
No, I like that. Honestly, having the responsibility and, like really being able to own up to a lot of it, right? One of the biggest things that'll blow your account is ego, is, gambling, revenge trading, over leveraging, over trading. There's so much that, really comes down to it. And it's like, people are like, how long does it take to, become a successful trader? It's like, how long is it going to take you to master your emotions, have the discipline, to follow it, right? So like being able to know, like, when enough is enough, like being able to have those, stop losses on yourself, like on your emotions. Like, are you finding yourself getting worked up? If so, are you using proper risk management? If you're getting really worked up about a trade, chances are you're probably over leveraging, first of all, just putting it out there, but second of all, like, let's say you are using proper risk to reward and, you do find yourself getting emotional, step away, like go take a break, go, work out, go clear your mind, do whatever, come back, with a clear head, and then go through it. If maybe you're losing back to back to back, take a minute, jump back into the charts, do some back testing, do some paper, trading, maybe go to a demo, maybe, zoom out and look at a higher time frame and figure out, like, what is really going on. I know that was one of the things I struggled with early on was, I saw all these people making money scalping. Oh, let me just, hurry up and grab a couple pips with a higher lot size, this, that. But even then I was still over leveraging and I was finding myself getting stressed out because I didn't understand the overall, picture. I didn't understand the macro market structure. I didn't understand, that little time frames, we're making up a bigger picture of what's going on the bigger time frames, so a lot went into it. So I really like that, you do cover this stuff, Alyse. Like you are a savage in your own right. And I honestly, I really do appreciate you jumping on here with me and just really just delivering all this value, all this alpha, just dropping your wisdom, your coming from your heart, your mind, everything you've went through, all your trials and tribulations, and you're able to share those experiences with other people. And I hope people were really able to, capture all the different information that you've given them, all the nuggets you dropped along the way. I'm sure some people are going to go back and rewatch this several times, take some notes, like this has been an amazing episode with you. And I really do appreciate you jumping on here with me.
Thank you so much. I love talking about trading and sharing about trading. I know we both have such a passion for it. So, we understand that this is bigger than us. Obviously, I could just take this information and keep it to myself and, hoard it for myself and my family. But I do understand, like I said, I feel like this is a part of my purpose because I feel like it's also a way. I've always been a person of like servitude to want to help people, but I feel like this is something that allows me to do that. So not only does it help me help myself, I can now also help others with that knowledge. So I understand that this is bigger than me. And I do have a passion of, teaching women as well as younger, growing up adults, these type of skills. So that's something I seek to do in the future is really start teaching, high school level students trading and financial literacy because I feel like it's a game changer. I mean, I'm thankful. I do strongly believe that you can start learning this at any age, of course, with that said, because I've taught people that are retired that started to learn trading and now they're taking their retirement money and expanding that. So anybody can do this as long as they desire to and, self-reflect and master themselves. But I do have a passion of wanting to teach people trading. So I'm excited that in the future, I would definitely look to start teaching high schoolers because this is something that's a game changer. And think about how different the future can be, right? If financial literacy and trading is something and investing is something that people understand from an early age.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I know you and I have had many conversations on this topic, and I respect it a lot. You know, it's sad. It's sad that we have to like really go out of our way to teach this to the younger generation, because this is something that should be taught in schools. You should be able to understand financial literacy. You should be able to understand, you know, how to do taxes, how to, you know, how to go ahead and even get a business, you know, file, you know, for an LLC or an EIN, or, you
How
know,
about
being able to
credit?
really do this
Why
stuff.
are we
Yeah,
not taught
credit,
about credit?
business credit, like all this different stuff, being able to, you know, really understand how to leverage your money to make you more money, right? They say, you know, if you can't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you're going to work until the day that you die. And, you know, I think that's huge. Like, and this should be taught to, you know, our younger generations. And, you know, maybe here in the future, that's something that we can work on together to really make that happen, because I do believe it. I think it should be done. You know, I sit here in the charts and, you know, I'm trading Forex, I'm trading crypto, even looking at NFTs, metaverse. I have my 10-year-old here sitting next to me. My 2-year-old sees me in the charts, you know, like everybody's like here watching me, like, you know, within it. And I think that's huge, because like I see how much he's excited about it. I see, you know, how, you know, he's looking for it. And I know, like, you know, same with you and Ava, like I know like people are going to be able to, you know, really benefit from this. And we should be teaching our children, you know, from a younger age. Unfortunately, our system is failing us. The government is failing us. Our school systems are failing us. But us as parents, we do have the ability to, you know, teach our children right from wrong, to be able to teach them what this looks like, you know, be able to teach them credit, being able to teach them, you know, how just the economy works in general, right? So, you know, I do respect the answer so freaking much. And, you know, I think that's a big portion of it, right? And, you know, you as an educator, people do have the ability to learn from you, right? You know, you educate in a few different settings. You know, how would, you know, somebody like looking to learn more, or even just get started trading? Maybe this is the first time somebody's even heard of trading and they're watching this, right? Or people are just wanting to learn. You know, they've been a part of so many different BS platforms or so many gurus out there, right? For the beginners,
Right.
how could somebody go about, you know, getting into trading, being able to learn those, you know, basic, intermediate, you know, levels, you know, to be able to, you know, get their footing and still be able to learn from you? And then, you know, even above that, part two of this question, let's say somebody wants to go to that next level and they want, you know, that mentorship, you know, what does that look like?
Right. So many good points made there. There's so many ways to do it. That's the beauty of the technology age that we're in, is that there's resources and tools everywhere. So, although I obviously reference mentorship and learning from others, you can even take your own steps of simply buying books, right? I'm sure they have 8,000 books for this for dummies, right? So, I'm sure there's one about trading our stocks or investing. There's so many tools online to be able to do such. You know, we have both mentioned that we started with a similar, you know, platform or company and whatnot. And I actually teach it a few places. You know, I did have my private mentorship. I unfortunately took my last round of students previously to focus on, like, because I take breaks that I level up myself and continue to do that. Because when I come back to it, I can bring that much more value. So with that said, you know, I'm about to take half a year off from teaching personal students. But during that period of time, I will be recording and having content ready and to release eventually. And that will be pre-recorded so that people can go through it. It'll be a one time, you know, there you go, you have access to this. And then I'll probably end up doing like one-on-one in small groups. But as for now, you know, at EA Economy, I teach stocks there, teaching like crypto and then trading like indices and gold. Those are the two main pairs that I trade. US 30, which is technically Dow Jones, but also do understand that in the Forex market, technically Dow Jones is traded through CFDs. So whenever it's in the foreign exchange market, it's technically a synthetic index, but I don't mind because it pays very well. And it has very good liquidity
It
and
sure
payout.
does.
So just putting that disclaimer out there because I do know what it really is. I don't want real traders to watch this and be like, oh, she thinks she's really trading this. So I had to mention that. But okay, digressing away from that. So I do teach at a few places where I teach different things because that's the beauty of trading as well. Once you learn how to read charts, you really can open to different styles of trading and different markets. So yes, I do invest and I do trade. I do stocks, I do options, I do crypto and foreign exchange. And that literally all started just for me saying, yes, I want to learn how to trade Forex.
That's
So, you know, I'm sure you have everybody has at least one friend online that says that they trade. That doesn't mean that they're learning from a legitimate place, but just do your research, y'all. It's so easy to go online and do your research. And there are some places that do have some free education. The only one I will mention will be babypips.com. No, I'm not like
No,
paid out by the money.
that's a good one.
But with that said, I will say that's only beginning and entry level stuff, right? So you should invest in yourself and don't be scared to pay and put money towards something to learn, right? We don't even question it when it comes to school. And we also spend 4 years to leave and to start to make money. Approach trading the same way. Say, like, I'm going to give myself this amount of time. I'm going to invest this amount of money because you will make it back tenfold. As long as you take the lessons, as long as you actually seek in that knowledge, then you'll be able to make it back.
That's it. That's it, honestly. And baby pips, honestly, that is like that's the preschool of getting into trading. I remember when I was first going through baby pips, like, what the hell is a pip? How do you calculate a pip? Like I remember it, man. Like I remember it, baby pips. That's like the OG of like preschool of getting into trading, and then you can find a platform like Economy. They break down really well, the basics, the intermediate, the advanced. I know, you're sharing stocks. There are a lot of people when I said that we're, getting into, this episode and asked if there's any questions, everybody's like stocks. Like as soon as I said Alyse, they're like,
right.
What's the strategy? What's this? And I'm like, most of the questions that y'all are asking are being answered, on literally every live session you do for Economy. And that's
Definitely.
big, so real quick, before we go ahead and wrap this thing up within the stocks, right? Maybe somebody's wanting to get into stocks. What does that look like?
Well, there's different ways to trade stocks. So that's what's interesting, right? There's options, and then you have regular investing, like with shares, when you just buy shares. When you're doing shares, you're pretty much investing in the long-term potential of that company, and you're buying into that company. People don't realize you're literally buying into that company. Now, obviously, at the volume you're at, you're not going to be like buying ownership, because that's the ownership of a company. That's the first thing that people ask about stocks. Like, I don't get it. Why are they even doing this? Well, it's simply a way for them to make money. When they sell you shares, they can take that money and put it into their business. But you are buying into parts of ownership of that company. People who buy massive amounts have say in that company. They're able to vote, and like when they do the quarterly earning reports, they'll do their reports, and you're allowed to vote on things that they are doing in the company. So people don't realize this. Nonetheless, there's different ways to do it. Join up maybe with the Economy with us and be able to learn alongside us. But you want to start and open an account. There's different ways to do it. So again, you have options, and you have just regular investing where you're buying shares. So open an account, play around with it. The beautiful thing with trading in general, not just stocks, but really everything, is that there's typically either demo trading, which is what it's referenced for foreign exchange. Typically with stocks, it's called paper trading. So you get an account with fake money, and you get to make mistakes there. Isn't that beautiful? I get to lose fake money, not real money. And so as you get better, you can and you learn the ins and outs there. So regardless of where you're learning, open an account, do the steps, open the account, read some books, apply those lessons. You can make mistakes on paper trading, and even those mistakes will now save you that time and that loss, and you can apply it to your real life thing. Everybody has a few bucks. At this point, there's no excuse. Okay, you can have $10 and start trading. I don't care. Okay, there's penny stocks. Just get out there, start learning, apply that information, and in time you'll get better, as long as you're applying it.
That's it, honestly. So when it comes to stocks, guys, you have multiple options. You got the buy and hold, and then you have the ability to trade options as well, whether you're stating, price is going to be going up or down within a specific period of time.
Exactly.
Alyse, you're a savage. I really do appreciate you coming on here with me. This has, been an amazing episode. So much value has been dropped. I don't even know how we're giving this out for free. This is insane. So for those of you that are wanting to connect with Alyse, want to follow her, her mentorship may be closed now, but you never know. Like maybe in the future it will open up. I'm going to include all of her social media links down below in the description. Go ahead, give her a follow, reach out to her, let her know that, you saw this episode, something you learned, maybe your favorite tips, comment below something that you learned, and, that your main takeaway from this episode, and, being able to, just take that, and just share with other people. Maybe somebody didn't catch that same part as you did. Right. So Alyse, I appreciate you, sis. I really do. This has been amazing. This has been fun. So much value has been dropped, and I do appreciate it. I look forward to having you back on here again.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I love this. I love it. We share such great energy, and I think we bring such great knowledge to the game. So appreciate your time today as well.
That's big. That's big. Thank you, sis. Guys, so, just go ahead, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're going to be doing more episodes, more traders, more perspectives on the market. We'll be talking all things trading. I'm talking Forex, I'm talking crypto, I'm talking stocks, talking, really everything, talking even NFTs and metaverse, right? So, overall, I hope you guys are able to get some value from this episode. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you can be notified when we do drop further content. And as always, hit that like button. It does help. And we'll see you guys in this next episode.
Yay.